few days ago, the Mets finally came to their senses. The Mets have designated Darin for assignment, keeping him off the opening day roster and ending his short-lived tenure with the club. The Mets acquired Ruff at last year's trade deadline in exchange for J.D. Davis and 3 additional minor league pieces. With the Mets, the 36-year-old veteran slashed 152, 216, 197 with a 24 WRC plus in 74 plate appearances. The Mets will owe Ruff $3 million this season, raising their total to $34 million in retained salaries.
Yeah, just finally ripping off the bandage. We know the story. And now we'll see Tommy Pham. Hey, one good game against lefties today. So if he's going to be that, he's going to be Yordan Alvarez against lefties. We'll take that every day of the week, almost hitting for a cycle. And, love Tommy Pham. Always, I love the signing. I love that guy. But, he played well today. We'll see if that can continue. Again, having Canada, having some time at DH as well. But, again, with Ruff, as we've said our piece about him. It seems like if you were going to do this, you might as well done it in the offseason and not lost a couple, Muckingham or whoever, one of the relievers you lost because you DFA'd instead of him. Again, it's just another waiver wire arm you could have used. It probably would have been more useful than Darin Ruff. But again, at least this is the third time we've seen this in the Cohen regime. If you're not good enough, get the hell out. The money is not going to be the problem. Cohen will pay. Add it to the island of irrelevancy of $40 million to just guys sitting in Barbados.
Who was that pitcher?
I think those saw Acevedo. Yeah, those saw Acevedo.
Acevedo.
Yeah, lefty.
And it was one of the lefties. Yeah,
Yeah. So there you go. Sunk cost right there.
I mean, we knew it was overdue. We said it from the beginning. I mean, we weren't even willing to give him the spring training opportunity. We just, kept our arms on the waiver wire and what have you. But I am glad that they made this decision before the season even started, because it was like I said on an earlier podcast that there were just so many things going against him. I'm telling you, if he did make the team, that first game in Citi Field, he's getting booed out the stadium. I mean, it was just very hard to see him, making the most out of it. And again, somebody like Tim LeCastro, who not a great player, but he holds more value. Like, at least LeCastro could move around a little bit. I mean, you saw when Daniel Vogelbach pinch hit, I believe it was the Saturday game. If Vogelbach got on, LeCastro was pinch running. Then LeCastro made the start. He got hit by a couple of pitches. I mean, when's the last time Darin Ruff got on base twice in a single game? And then, LeCastro was flying around the bases on the Tommy Pham hits. So at least you're getting someone who does something. And LeCastro, he started in the outfield, gave Canada that DH role, which was really good because at least Mark Canada, someone who is older, you keep him rested, maybe keep him in the lineup a little more, because we saw a lot, especially early last year. Canada was playing, 2 out of every 4 days or whatever, something like that. They rested him a lot, and his bat just wasn't in the lineup. But if you have somebody like LeCastro making those starts in the outfield and Canada gets the DH, that's pretty nice to have. Meanwhile, Darin Ruff, he wasn't going to – I mean, he did play the outfield in September against Oakland. We know how that went. But I'm just glad that they did it. But now it's up to Tommy Pham. And what concerns me now is that now that Tommy Pham and Canada are both like the guy, the DH against the lefties, is that who's your fourth outfielder? Like, it becomes Jeff McNeil now. And, when you're facing a lefty, that means you're starting Guillorme against the lefty. You're starting McNeil against lefty if you need that fourth outfielder. So we know the injury concerns with Nimmo, with Marte, even with Canada being a little older, that if an outfielder does get hurt, things get a little dicey. I mean, because then you have to call up Vientos because, I mean, again, what is your alternative? We talked about that so much of not getting, multiple new bats into this team. They're kind of playing a little behind now because this was a guy that stayed on their 40-man for a long time that they thought was going to make the team, but he still couldn't show anything. So it was just a waste of time the whole offseason.
So in terms of fourth outfielders, I mean, obviously we have Tim LeCastro here with, switching in Pham and Canna from DH and left field. If they were to do that, do you consider him like a fourth outfielder, or do you just see him as a pinch runner?
I don't. I mean, I view LeCastro more as a pinch runner. I mean, I tweeted I was surprised that LeCastro even got a start in the first series of the year. I thought it was a little early. I know Buck likes to keep everybody involved, especially in the beginning of the season, but I always say, like, you have to prove it to me. Like, LeCastro hasn't earned, the fourth outfielder job yet. Like, he had a great spring training, don't get me wrong, but I mean, fourth outfielder on a veteran team, you're playing pretty frequently. I mean, just look at Tommy Pham. Like, he's played a lot. I mean, he played almost every day at this point. So With the DH being involved in National League, like these guys be playing a lot. So I said, we're going way, way back. If I could have gotten Correa and traded Escobar for like a true, outfielder that is versatile, that could play center field, play it well, and kind of hit against lefties, that should be what the Mets were doing. But again, we just talk about that asset management. When you trade 4 assets for a guy like Darin Ruf just to DFA him the next year, not good asset management. It's something we've critiqued for a long time, but they continue to make these mistakes.
At least they finally admitted it. And I'm just happy that Billy Epler came up to the media mic and just said, you know what? This was a trade that failed, and I accept it, and I take it. Finally. 6 months later than I wanted him to.
And what's so weird is that going into the week, before opening day, Billy Epler was giving the reporters like some sarcasm, and he was being a little bit of a jerk when they're asking him about Darin Ruf. He's like, I'll let you know at 11:59 on Thursday, okay? You let us know before that. So I don't know why he got so sensitive about it and was just being so weird about it just when he was going to DFA the guy anyway. So I don't know, what secret he was trying to hold or who he was trying to fool, but he just made a fool of himself acting like that. Just to, again, it's always what do your actions say? You could say one thing, but what you actually do is what really matters.
I'd say he isn't the people's people, but he seems socially okay. I don't know what to even say about that, but yeah, that was just so weird. I don't know if he was making jokes or anything, or he's just being just awkward, passive aggressive, doesn't want to reveal anything, keep things behind closed doors. But yeah, that was awkward. I didn't know what the hell that was, but you know what? At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is that Darin Ruf is not here. It was a disaster. Yeah. And we've said this so many times. It goes unsaid at this point. It's going to go down as one of the worst trades in Mets history. We know it. It will. Who's worse? Who's worse, Mr. Andrew?
We're comparing a just bum bench player. We've given up how many top prospects? Unless Carson Seymour turns into the next Camilo Doval, no one will remember this trade in about a year. If the Mets, no one's going to remember this in 2 years. Unless,
What trade is worse, though?
A lot of trades have been worse for prospects. Give me a couple minutes and I'll give you.
List them for me.
We're trading. It's a bench player. Yeah, it worked out. PCA for Javi Baez in 1/2 year of Trevor Williams. That's pretty much worse because PCA could turn out to be an all-star caliber. We're going to forget about, again,
that doesn't have any result yet. That doesn't have any result.
And we don't have the result of this trade. Yes, was he bad for the Mets? Yeah.
Yes, we do.
We don't need.
We do have the results. The guy's fucking DFA'd and owed $3 million. Did the Mets win this trade? No. Did the Giants win this trade? Who the hell knows?
Not really. Again, who cared? It's a bench player. We will forget this even happened in probably 2 years. This isn't, again, did they give up a PCA? Did they give up a generational talent on the other end? No. It's a bad trade, yes.
Carson Seymour's a nice arm.
But will he ever be anything? And if that happens,
absolutely.
Then we can have the conversation.
He's got 99 gas in the tank. He'll be in the majors, bitch.
Okay.
And the Mets are so just depleted of young arms that could actually be major league caliber sometime soon that losing him for Darin Ruf is just, I would say really bad trade as far as how bad Ruff's performance was. Not the actual, what you gave up and what you got back. It's still a terrible trade as far as how he performed as a Met because, like you said, the 24 WRC plus, the this, the that, it was hard to be worse than he was. And, a team that historically, especially this past half decade or a decade or so, has really struggled against left-handed pitching. This is the guy you get to, face lefties, and that's not just a bench player. When you're in the playoffs and you're facing a lefty, he's going to make starts for you. So he was more than just a bench player, and it was just an overall disaster.
It was a major need. It was just a major need. The lefty killing power bat to protect Alonso, and that's what they went with, and it just didn't work out. Did not work out whatsoever.